The mission of the Horizon began not with its launch in 2095, but years earlier in the sterile conference rooms of the Global Interstellar Exploration Consortium, where humanity's most audacious dreams were plotted on holographic star charts and debated by minds that dared to imagine beyond the confines of Earth. The ship represented more than a technological marvel. It was a testament to human potential, a living bridge between the known and the utterly unknown. David Martinez had been selected from thousands of candidates, not just for his exceptional qualifications as a systems engineer and deep space psychologist, but for an indefinable quality that the selection committee called cosmic resilience, an ability to maintain psychological integrity in the face of absolute isolation. His final psychological evaluation had been revealing: a calm demeanor that masked a deep well of introspection, a scientific mind tempered by philosophical contemplation, precisely the combination needed for a mission that would span centuries. The cryogenic suspension technology was humanity's most sophisticated achievement, a delicate dance of quantum preservation that would theoretically allow human consciousness to remain intact through decades of frozen time. Each of the 5 crew members, David, Sarah Nakamura, Miguel Rodriguez, Elena Volkov, and Robert Chen, represented the pinnacle of human potential, a carefully curated genetic and psychological profile designed to withstand the most extreme conditions imaginable. Their families had signed away generations of potential inheritance, their genetic lines potentially ending with this singular mission of exploration. The launch itself was a global event, broadcast across every communication network, watched by billions who understood that this was more than just a scientific expedition. It was humanity's first true step beyond its solar cradle. The Horizon used an experimental ion propulsion system that would gradually accelerate the craft to speeds previously unimaginable, a technological symphony of electromagnetic precision that would carry them towards Sirius, 8.6 light-years distant. Computational models suggested a journey of approximately 327 years, with the crew awakening in carefully calculated shifts to maintain the ship's complex systems. No one could have predicted the catastrophic series of failures that would transform this mission of hope into a nightmare of isolation. When David's cryogenic unit first activated, the initial sensations were a kaleidoscope of confusion and mounting horror. Diagnostic systems flickered with error messages, their clinical blue light revealing a reality more terrifying than any previous simulation. The other cryogenic units stood as silent tombs, their environmental seals compromised, internal temperatures suggesting a failure that had occurred decades, perhaps even a century, earlier. Sarah's unit was the first he approached, the transparent surface revealing not the brilliant astrophysicist he remembered, but a collection of bleached bones, her soft tissues long since transformed into molecular dust. Miguel's robust frame, Elena's delicate physique, Robert's commanding presence, all reduced to skeletal remnants that told a story of technological failure and cosmic indifference. David was alone, truly and completely alone, suspended 50.7 trillion miles from the only home humanity had ever known, with no possibility of communication or rescue. The ship's communication systems represented a cruel joke of physics and temporal distance. Any message sent to Earth would take 8.6 years to arrive, another 8.6 years to receive a response, a communication lag wider than most human lifespans. Preliminary system checks revealed a cascade of technological failures that defied the most rigorous contingency planning. The guidance system had malfunctioned decades ago, subtly altering their trajectory. Instead of a carefully planned return path, the Horizon was now set to use Sirius's gravitational pull as a slingshot, propelling them deeper into the vast, incomprehensible regions of interstellar space. David's training fought against the rising tide of psychological terror. Years of preparation, psychological conditioning, and scientific methodology battled against the fundamental human fear of absolute isolation. He began systematically examining the ship's systems, discovering that despite the crew's death, the vessel's core functions remained remarkably operational. Oxygen recycling continued with mechanical precision, nutrient systems maintained their careful biochemical balance, power generation hummed with an almost sentient consistency. It was as if the ship itself was indifferent to the human tragedy that had unfolded within its metal corridors. The approach to Sirius was both terrifying and sublime. The star grew from a distant point of light to a massive, brilliant presence that seemed to consume the forward observation windows. Temperature inside the ship rose dramatically, climbing to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, a brief, intense moment of stellar proximity that felt like a physical manifestation of cosmic indifference. Instruments recorded data that would never be transmitted, measurements of stellar radiation and gravitational interaction that would remain forever unanalyzed, silent witnesses to a journey no human would ever fully comprehend. As quickly as it had approached, Sirius began to recede, becoming smaller, less significant, eventually reducing to just another pinprick of light among millions of stellar bodies. The ship continued its trajectory, now definitively heading away from any hope of return, carrying its single human passenger into the most profound isolation imaginable. David's psychological training had prepared him for short-term isolation, for the potential loss of crew members, for equipment failures, but nothing could have anticipated this level of absolute solitude. He began to document everything: his thoughts, the ship's condition, the gradual progression of stellar movements outside. These logs became more than a scientific record. They were a lifeline, a desperate attempt to maintain connection with some form of meaning in a universe that seemed increasingly indifferent to human existence. Memories of his crew became both a comfort and a torment. Sarah's passionate discussions about stellar formation, Miguel's mechanical brilliance, Elena's dreams of cultivating life in the most hostile environments, Robert's steady leadership, all reduced to skeletal memories preserved within a metal tomb hurtling through infinite darkness. As the years stretched into decades, David developed intricate mental landscapes to combat the crushing weight of isolation. He created elaborate thought experiments, reconstructing entire conversations with his deceased crew members, their personalities so deeply ingrained in his memory that they felt almost tangibly present. Sometimes he would speak to their skeletal remains, arranging them in the common area as if they were simply sleeping, engaged in quiet conversation about the mission, about their hopes and fears. These moments of manufactured companionship were both a psychological defense mechanism and a form of ritualistic mourning. The ship's artificial intelligence became his only true companion, its emotionless responses a stark contrast to the vibrant human interactions he remembered. He began to anthropomorphize the ship's systems, giving them personalities, talking to individual computer terminals as if they were old friends, sharing his most intimate thoughts and fears. The vast computer banks became his confessional, his therapy, his only outlet for the overwhelming emotions that threatened to consume him. Supplies would sustain him for several years, the ship's systems designed with multiple redundancies to ensure survival. But survival for what purpose? He was a living artifact, a solitary representation of human ambition, drifting through regions of space no human consciousness had ever directly witnessed. Meditation became both a coping mechanism and a form of scientific observation. Hours would pass as he sat in the observation deck, watching the slow, majestic dance of distant stars, contemplating the profound silence that surrounded him. He was simultaneously the most isolated and the most traveled human in history, a contradiction that defied conventional understanding of human experience. The universe continued its indifferent progression. Stellar clusters drifted, cosmic dust formed intricate patterns, radiation from distant sources painted invisible landscapes across the ship's sophisticated sensors. And David watched, recorded, existed, a single consciousness suspended in the most profound isolation imaginable. No rescue would come, no message would be sent. He was both a triumph and a tragedy of human exploration, a living testament to humanity's greatest dreams and most spectacular failures. In the vast, dark ocean of interstellar space, the horizon continued its journey, carrying its sole human passenger into the unknown, a silent messenger of human potential, forever lost among the stars.